In your first year of retirement, what do you plan to do? Or if you're already retired, what did you plan to do? Those were the same questions that I was asking myself a little over 3 years ago when I retired. And that's the topic of today's video. So let's get into it. So when I retired back in May of 2021, it wasn't a very well planned out retirement. You see, the pandemic was in full swing. I had just gotten my second booster shot. That made me sick. A month prior, I had spent 4 days in the hospital because I caught pneumonia. I didn't think I was coming out of there. I really didn't. Obviously, I'm here, so I survived. But it was hard. I was at the tail end of a contract job. And at the end, I was contemplating going back and working in the HR field. But a little voice kept telling me, it's time to rest. Enough is enough. And so with everything that was going on in our world, in our country, I had a little concerned, right? And so I talked to my wife, and within 30 days, I retired at 62. And I started drawing Social Security. Life was going to be pretty good, I hoped. And when we told our family and friends, they kept asking, so what are you going to do now? And I really didn't know. I really didn't have an answer. Right? I said, well, whatever my wife told me or tells me to do, that's what I'm going to do. Because I didn't have an answer. But they would always say negative things, like, well, we heard that people that retire early, they die within 5 years. Or that you're going to get bored in retirement. You're not going to want to see your wife every day. You're going to be bored of that. That's going to create problems in your household. And that just kept going on and on. And as I sat back and I contemplated that question, what am I going to do next? Or I sat down and talked with the wife, what are we going to do next? Right? Because she's a big part of this journey as well. We didn't really have an answer. We just kept saying, well, what do we need to do next? And do we need to do anything? Because we're retired. See, I spent about 23 years in the military, and then another 20 years as an HR manager, director, working for various companies. So at this point in my life, I was just tired. It seemed like for every year that I worked, it seemed like I was getting 3 years older. That's what my body felt like, right? Start to feel all the aches and the pains and the injuries that take a long time to heal. That's where I was, right? So retiring when I did, I was grateful, right? I was happy. I just needed to figure out, what that next step was, because most of the time it's subjective. Meaning that it's not the same for everybody. Everybody has a different plan for retirement. And because we rushed into ours, I wouldn't say rushed, because we didn't really rush, although we fell into retirement because we had been planning to retire all along. Just we never set a date, right, for when we were going to retire. I always thought I would work to about until I was about 70 years old before I retired. And so that didn't play out, all right? And a lot had to do with what was going on in our world. But that's okay. But everybody that we talked to kept giving us different recommendations, Oh, you need to join this group. You need to join that group. You need to get into this type of activity. You need to downsize your house and move to a 55-plus community. You need to sell your house and buy an RV, live in your RV, and travel the U.S. And I would laugh at that one simply because in the Army I was an infantry guy, so my ideal of retirement doesn't include living in an RV and camping in the woods, right? I had enough of that. And my wife, she ain't gonna sleep in the woods unless there's a 5-star hotel there. That really ain't working. And then some people even said, "Hey, why don't you just move outside of the U.S. and go live in one of these countries where it's cheaper to live, where your dollar can go the longest?" And that I kind of thought about, right? Simply because I'm from Guam, I'm not from the U.S., and so leaving the U.S. wouldn't be hard for me. But my wife, she ain't leaving and moving anywhere too far from her kids, so that was out of the question. So what did we do? Well, although we had a lot of recommendations, and we talked through each one of them, none of them just seemed like a good fit. So my wife basically said one day, "Well, why do we need to make a decision right now? Right? We're already retired. We have enough finances to keep us going. We could stay right here until we make a decision on what we want to do next. We don't need to rush ourselves." And then she looked at me and she said, "Well, what do you need right now?" And as I thought about that, because that was a great idea, no need to stress over what to do next if you don't know what to do next, if you can't come to a consensus of what to do next. And so not making a decision and not doing anything seemed like a good answer. But as I thought more and more about it, I said, you know what? What I really needed to do was something that put us on our retirement journey. And what we really needed to do was, or I should say, I really needed to do was, I needed to recalibrate my life. And when I say recalibrate my life, I get that word from the military, right? I'll go back to the military, and I was assigned to a mechanized unit, Bradley Fighting Vehicle unit. And they had sent me to a master gunner course that taught us all about the main gun of the Bradley Fighting Vehicle, right, which was a 25 Mike. And so one of the things you'd always do is you'd always calibrate, you'd always bore scope, you'd always zero that main gun, simply so that whatever that gunner looks in his periscopes, whatever he sees, whatever he puts that crosshairs on, when he pulls that trigger, that's where that round is going to go. And that's kind of what I needed to do, right? So, in the military, you do that all the time to recalibrate. Well, I needed to recalibrate my life, right? Because now it's changed. Now I'm retired. Now there's a lot of things that I just don't have to worry about anymore. So some of the things that I knew that were changing, right? My habits were going to change, my routines, my goals, my priorities. All those were changing, right? And I had to realign the new ones to what mattered to me the most. And my wife would say, "Well, what matters to you the most? And what do you need to do right now?" And I'll go back to having worked for so long. The one thing that I needed to do was take a little R&R. Okay, take a lot of R&R. And for me, R&R stands for rest and relaxation, right? That's kind of what I needed in my life at that point. Financially, we were okay, right? As I said, we were good. So that's what we began doing. And so, 1 month turned into 6 months, which kind of turned into 2 years, right? Time just flew by. I guess we were having too much fun. But people would always ask, what did you do in those 2 years? Well, more so, we decompressed, or I decompressed, right? I needed to get all that work life, right, squeezed out of me. So we were retired, so we could just pretty much do anything. And so my normal routine was for the first 3 months, I would sleep, wake up. I found this thing called a TV, and on that TV there was a thing called Netflix. I didn't know how to operate that thing, and my wife kind of showed me how. Um, and I started binge watching all those shows, all those series that I didn't get an opportunity to watch during my work life. I might have caught one episode or two, but I would never been able to watch the whole series. And so when I watch an episode, the wife would always have to explain everything, and that frustrated her. But it was so relaxing just to sit there and be able to watch one episode after the next, all the way through until you got to the end of the program. And that was great. Then I just move on to the next series, right, and do that same thing. And so it was, sleep, Netflix, get up, do something, a little chores, do some more eating, and then go to bed, and then get up in the morning and do the same thing. And we did that for a while, right? For the first probably 6 months, that continued. It might went on a little longer. We began to work. We said, "Hey, is this what we're supposed to be doing in retirement? Right? Is just this? When's the last time we've gone out of the house?" I said, "Well, I go out of the house every day. I go check the mail, right? That's gotta amount to something." And so we knew that we needed to develop something else, and I knew that something else had to be a new routine, right? Because I always say that if you don't create a routine would create you. And I knew that sleeping, eating, TV, sleeping, eating, TV, repeat. That probably wasn't going to be too good for our retirement life. Although we probably could have done it, right, and been happy. But we wanted a little more out of life than just doing that. So my new routine, as we moved on into the years, kind of changed to where I'd get up at 7 a.m. in the morning, simply because normally I would trade the markets, and so as I got up in the morning and I prepared myself to do trading, and I trade between market opens here in Central Standard Time at 8:30. I'll do that until about 11:30, right? So I'm usually behind my computer doing that. Then thereafter, all right, I would do something a little physical. It might be cut the grass, and that's always a chore, right? I'd always go out there and sweat, especially in the summer months here in Texas. Or I'd just go for a walk, right? I'd go for a 2 or 3 mile walk. A lot of times I'll include a little workout, and I got a friend on YouTube, and I'll make sure I link his page in the description, so that if you're looking for a workout, if you're like me, 65 or older, and you just need a light workout, he's an excellent mentor for somebody like that. Yeah, it's just, I mean, obviously it's free to watch his page, and he responds to all kind of questions, so you can create your own type of physical workout just watching him and getting the information from his page. But I created a little workout for myself, and that's kind of what I do, and that's kind of what my life in retirement kind of changed to, and there was no problem there. Now, I really think that in your first year, you really need to decompress, right? If you're planning your retirement, plan time to decompress, and there really isn't a start or end time. You can't say, well, okay, I'll use the first 3 months to decompress. It might take you longer, or it might take you shorter to do that. Just depends on, how stressed you are in your work life, right? So for us, it was, we figured it out as we moved on in life. We were very flexible. If we wanted to continue on with a way of life that was making us happy, we just keep on doing it. We're retired. There's no rush. There's no problem in continuing with what we found was working for us. And so as you retire, you just need to rethink and figure out what works for you. Now, some people would say, well, you need to create a purpose. You need to create priorities. You need to create goals in your life. And for us, those are probably all smart things for us, or at least for me. My goal in life, I make it every New Year's Eve, right? I make my New Year's resolution. It's always I want to live another year, and if I can make it another year, I'd say, hey, you know what? I met my goal. And if I don't meet that goal, doesn't matter because I'm not here anyway, right? But but part of living another year has to do with your health, right? Which is really, really important. So as you decompress and you start to figure out what kind of new life you're gonna have, you want to make sure that one of the priorities is your health, right? And for me, that meant going to the doctor, scheduling your doctor's appointment, your physicals, your blood work, so that if something happens, you can catch it right away, right? So they can hopefully cure it before it creates havoc on your body. I also started that workout program, right? Keep your body healthy so that you can do those projects around the house, right, without a problem, so you don't hurt yourself. But along with your physical body, you need to challenge your mind, right? So for me, trading the markets, that was challenging enough. And then started this YouTube page. I thought it was going to be easy, but it's not. So that in itself is really challenging my mind. So I have it mentally, I have it physically, I have those under control now. I have a good routine, and retirement life is really great. I hope your retirement life, if you're retired already, is really good. And if it is, let me know in the comments, right? Kind of talk to me about how your retirement life is going. And if you're not retired yet, what are you planning for that first year, right? That first year of retirement. That's probably the most critical year that you really want to get down. Leave me a comment and we can discuss it. And this is Chandler's Retirement Life. It's a good life. Lights out.